This is Change Your Mindset Podcast, the podcast that helps change your life by helping change the mindset of the 99% into the 1% mindset. Here's your host, Adrian Gomez.
Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Change Your Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Adrian Gomez. So for this podcast, we're going to talk about a very serious subject right now, how society wants weak men. And this is a very serious issue as I go into because men right now, they are struggling. So for men out there, this podcast is for you guys. So I'm sure you guys heard maybe on social media or maybe somebody told you this or a girl told you this, that toxic masculinity, that being a man is toxic nowadays. And apparently being a man and being masculine is frowned upon nowadays. So they don't want you no longer. Society doesn't want you to be a man anymore. And obviously that's exactly what I try to strive for you guys to do, the opposite. I want you guys to be the best version of yourself, physically, mentally, financially. Obviously, not being a man anymore, that's the complete opposite. They want you to be weak. They want you to be lazy, fat, not be educated. It's insane what society is going right now. And it's very scary, and it's a very big concern right now. Because a lot of men are struggling right now, as we said, and it's a very serious subject and issue right now. Because I'm going to go over some statistics for you guys and show you how serious this is right now. So I looked this up, and this is from the CDC website. If you want to check it out yourself and look at the graph yourself, by all means. So there's a graph on CDC showing, obviously, a graph of how many men have, as we said, self-deleted. Obviously, it no longer exists, took their own lives, because like I said before, we can't say certain words on certain platforms because obviously our freedom of speech is being taken away. So we have to use language as self-deletion for scenarios like this. So anyways, the graph shows from 2000 to 2020. And on the left side of the graph, it shows the numbers by 2, 8, 12, 16, 20, 24. And that's per 100,000 standard population. So each one of those, you're going to have to times it by 100,000 on the left. So in 2000, it shows approximately 1,700,000 men self-deleted themselves. And throughout the years, the graph in the line shows that it goes upwards. So at the end of the graph in 2020, it shows approximately 2,200,000 men have self-deleted themselves. And that's in a 20-year span. So not even including the past 2 years. That's a serious concern, and that's very dangerous what society is going towards and for what's happening in men right now. And I'll tell you the comparison because on that same graph, it shows the female line. So for females in 2000, 400,000 women self-deleted themselves. And throughout the year, it's been pretty plateaued. Went up a little bit in 2016 and 2020. So in 2020, it went up by like 100,000. So that'd be 500,000 women have self-deleted themselves. But you see the big gap between men self-deleting themselves and women self-deleting themselves. That's a big gap. And I'm glad women don't have that high increase as men do, but men shouldn't have that high increase either. And that's what I'm saying is very concerning right now for men nowadays, and how society wants weak men, and saying being a man nowadays is unattractive, toxic. It's very serious and frowned upon right now because I want you guys to be the best versions of yourselves. And obviously, if you're not being a man anymore, you can't really do that. There's also another article by USA Today that said in 2021, 80% of self-deletions were by men. So it says, here a little bit of the article says that more than 47,000 people in the U.S. died by self-deletion in 2021. And the majority of those deaths, 38,025, were men. And that's coming from the National Center for Health Statistics. So think about that. 80% of men in 2021 died from self-deletion. And those are clear facts. And if you want to look up yourself, by all means. For some reason, men are getting more and more depressed and taking their own lives. Like I said in a previous podcast, obviously I did face a depressing time during my life when I had a job. And I was doing the same thing over and over. It was very depressing, but I eventually did something about it and, started entrepreneurship, and Obviously, I'm happy as I can be because I run my own business. I can work out whenever I want. I have my life back, and I'm happy, more thrilled more than ever than someone who has a job and doesn't have their life anymore. And obviously, that's one of the reasons I do this podcast, to help people obviously be the best version of themselves. And, being financially educated helps you out a lot. But unfortunately, like I said, society is against all of us. And it's very hard nowadays for people to be the best versions of themselves because of so much negativity. And like I said, this toxic masculinity, I mean, that's just another way of men, depressing them even more and saying, don't be a man anymore. And, just be something you don't want to be, because you won't be the best version of yourself anymore. And you can't get out the rat race, and you won't be happy anymore. And you'll just be in this cycle that you're going to hate and be depressed. And you're going to be really miserable, and you're going to hate your life. And that's really sad, because we only have one life, and we should all live it to our fullest potential. That's why it's very serious concern right now with all these men taking their own lives. And something needs to be changed, and we need to start putting more positivity, and we need people to start being better versions of themselves and strive every single day to get better and better. Like I said, depression is very serious, and I talk about mental health in podcasts a couple weeks ago. And like I said, I have friends that were depressed. One of them was because they just got a relationship and they're facing depression, so we had to talk them out of it. Obviously the gym helped him out a lot, and that's what I'm telling you guys. The gym really does help you mentally. Obviously, if you're going through a breakup, or some type of mental trauma, whatever it is, go to the gym. It helps you out a lot, I'm telling you. And then another friend, he was also depressed as well, because I'm pretty sure he didn't like his job. You're doing the same thing over and over. How can you not get depressed? And obviously you don't have your life back, and it's depressing. And you just got to help people. If you know someone that's going through depression, you need to help them out, because as a man, you should help another man, because men are struggling nowadays, and it's a very serious concern. And when I talk about being a masculine man, I'm not trying to say be all macho and all that type of masculinity. I'm not saying that. Obviously, I'm just saying be the best version of yourself. Since the beginning of time, men have always been protectors and providers. That's always been a man's responsibility, to protect and provide for their family. Obviously, that's what separates us from women, because we can do certain things that women can't do. Obviously, physical traits, we're stronger than most women. And I'm not being sexist or any misogynist, whatever that's going on nowadays. That's not what I'm talking about. But as I was saying, being a man is being a man. You got to take care of your family, you got to provide for them, and that's what it takes, because that's how it's been from the beginning of time. And unfortunately, that's being frowned upon, and people saying that's being toxic, taking care of your family, providing for them, which I think is insane, because I think that's what men are supposed to do, because that's how we're created. Biology is created us differently from women. And it's sad that nowadays they're saying that's bad, you shouldn't be doing that, it's toxic, don't work out, don't make money. It's insane what's going on nowadays, and it's a very serious subject, and it's something I think we saw a fight against, because society is really messed up right now. I mean, this is one example of how the things right now society is really messed up with. And that's why I'm just keep making these podcasts, to help people change their lives, because to me that's very important. I want a better society. For when I have kids, I want them to have the same opportunity that all of us have, freedom to be the best versions of ourselves if we live in this great country. And that's something I keep pushing, because I want to give that to everybody, because we all have that opportunity and we also take advantage of it. But unfortunately, times are changing, and it's very scary, because a lot of things are being taken away from us. Obviously, like I said, freedom of speech. There's so many things going on. Being a man, it's insane what's going on nowadays, and I never thought I'd see the day, but here we are, unfortunately. But some of us gotta keep fighting, no matter what. Like I said, being a man's not easy. It's hard. It takes a lot of work, especially if you don't have a strong father figure. I'm lucky and blessed I had a father that taught me, how to be a man, how to work hard, be self-educate yourself. And obviously, I am who I am because of that man. And without him, I probably would be struggling, and who knows where I'd be in life right now. So as I was saying, being a man is very essential. And obviously, if you have kids, teaching your kids the same thing, or your sons, to be a man, because that will help society nowadays, because society's, like I said, just kind of messed up right now. But every day, if you're listening to this podcast and you're a man and you're struggling, every day is going to be a fight for you. I mean, for myself, I fight every single day. It's not easy. Like I said, every day, 5 days out the week, I go to the gym. It helps me mentally and, physically look good. You feel good, all that good stuff. And, that's one of the trifectas: mentally, physically, financially, to be the best version of yourselves. And fight every day, getting up early. It's not easy. It's really hard. It doesn't ever get any easier when you get up early. So you're just going to fight every single day. So if you got a job, get up before your job, go to the gym. It helps you mentally, I'm telling you. And then obviously physically it's going to help you out, and you'll feel better mentally, because that does help you out a lot. But like I said, every day is going to be a fight. If you want something, you have to go out there and fight for it. If you want to be well off financially, you're going to have to fight for it every single day. It's not going to come to you. If you want to be physically fit, you have to fight every single day. You have to hit that gym every single day. Well, not every single day, but pretty often. Eat well to be the best version of yourself physically. It's a fight. It's not easy. Life's not easy. Life is very cruel. Like I said, I'm never going to sell you fantasy. I'm not going to say, oh, it's going to be okay. It's hard. It's hard out there in the real world. And like I said, these statistics show that men are struggling with this, because it's getting harder and harder for men nowadays, because all this stuff going on about this toxic masculinity and, being a man's frowned upon. It messes up people mentally. If you're going through tough times as a man, don't give up. Don't ever give up. Don't ever quit. Never quit. If something gets hard, you get knocked down, you get right back up, and you keep going. No matter how many times you fall down, you keep getting up no matter what. Because like I said, life's not easy. You're going to fall down a lot. It gets difficult a lot. But just because it doesn't mean you quit and you give up. You just keep going. Put your head down and you keep fighting every single day. Like I said, it's not easy. Life's never going to be easy. But the harder you work, the better off you will be. And once you realize that, you just got to keep going. No matter what your surrounding is in life. I know some people come from difficult places, and I don't know everyone's scenarios, but don't ever give up. Be who you're supposed to be. Be the full potential of yourself. Like I said, you have one life, don't waste it. But unfortunately, nowadays, a lot of men are wasting their lives and taking away from themselves. And it's very sad. As I said, it's a very serious topic, and things need to be changing, because society wants weak men. And nowadays, being a man, like I said, is frowned upon, and I don't think this is right. So one of the reasons I started this podcast is because I've seen how messed up everything is, how brainwashed we are, because we don't know about money. We're not financially educated. A lot of people are struggling and stuff like this, toxic masculinity. There's so many things that's going on in this world, and I've known about, and obviously I do a lot of research every day about it, and I wanted to do something about it. Obviously, that's why I created this podcast, to help people. I'm not going to sit around and say, well, that's messed up, oh, that shouldn't be happening. I want to change society for the better, because I said there's not enough good people right now that are doing good things, unfortunately. Yes, there are people still fighting for our rights, but unfortunately, a lot of people aren't doing anything about it anymore. A lot of people aren't fighting the good fight. A lot of people are just giving up. And it's sad, and it's unfortunate, because we need people to keep fighting and keep doing good things, because if we don't, I don't know how society is going to be in the future, or where we will end up. For all the men out there, all I can say is just keep fighting. Each day, try to be a better version of yourself. Take baby steps. Whatever you're trying to do, you're trying to just keep bettering yourself. Be who you're supposed to be every single day. Just don't quit, no matter what scenario you're in. Like I said, whoever's telling you negative thoughts, or if you hear things on TV, like I said, nowadays TV is very negative. There's not really much positivity going on. When you hear the news, there's a lot of negativity everywhere. But like as I said, take one step at a time, because I know you can do it, and you can be the best version of yourself. And I hope this graph starts going downwards, because these men delete themselves. It's a serious problem. And if we don't do anything about it, that graph is just going to keep going up and up. And we're just going to keep losing more and more men. And sometimes we're losing good men that obviously can benefit society, can really help people. And it's a serious problem. Whatever the reason is why society wants weak men, obviously I don't know. I mean, I've heard theories, or if some people want to say conspiracy theories, whatever it is, I've heard them all. Maybe the government wants to control us, or whatever it is. They want weak men because weak men are easier to control and, manipulate, because they're not thinking for themselves, or, they don't work out. Whatever it is, whatever the reason society wants weak men, we shouldn't allow it. Because whatever we find out the reason really is for why they want weak men, and if we do start having weak men, we will find out what really happens, and maybe there is an agenda. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just saying this because there's a reason why everything happens, for a reason. I mean, society doesn't want weak men just because. Like, let's just have weak men just because. It doesn't make sense logically. There has to be a reason why society wants weak men, to manipulate the population or whatever it is. But one thing is that most feared is by anybody or any government is strong men. Obviously, we could say masculine men, because think about it. Men who can think for themselves, who are independent thinkers, and don't believe whatever they want, or they don't listen to what they hear on the news, whatever it is, and fed whatever stuff they're told. They actually do the research and start educating themselves, and they see what's true or not. That's why I said in another podcast, we need more independent thinkers. Because if you realize that men will stand up for what's right, hopefully. And since the beginning of time, I mean, that's what the United States was founded on. Obviously, if we had weak men back then, we'd probably still be part of Britain right now. But men obviously fought back, and they were educated men, because once they got their independence from Great Britain, they made a constitution to protect the people of this country, for another tyranny wouldn't come and take over. And obviously, back then, though, you could say those were masculine men, because they fought back, they fought for their freedom, and they were independent thinkers because they started this country, created a constitution, and we all have freedom and rights because of them. And once we start creating weak men, who's going to fight for this country? Like I said, I don't know why the whole agenda is for weak men, but we need to keep fighting. Freedom isn't free, and men still need to be men, and still need to provide and protect, as we always have since the beginning of time. For all you men out there that are struggling or going through depression right now, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So just keep putting your head down, keep working, and you fight every single day. And go be the best version of yourself that I know you can be. Like I said, you have one life, don't waste it. Please don't waste it. So I appreciate you guys listening to this podcast. Hopefully this helps people. It helps men out there, because this podcast was for the men, because they're going through a crisis right now, and they need to be helped no matter what. And maybe you can help another man that needs help right now as well, because we gotta stick together. At the end of the day, we just gotta keep fighting no matter what. And if you guys can subscribe on whatever platform you guys are listening to keep up with all the episodes that come out, and obviously it does help the podcast. If you guys can also share the podcast, we can to help it grow, help other people that need to hear these messages, obviously to help them be the best version of themselves, and obviously to help them financially educate themselves. Because nowadays, a lot of people need help, and society is not looking so good right now. So we can get this message out to more people. I'd appreciate it, because at the end of the day, the goal is to help as many people as we can. So I appreciate you guys as always. I have another podcast for you guys next week. Take care of yourself and keep fighting the good fight. Bye-bye.
Thank you for listening to Change Your Mindset podcast. Be sure to tune in every week for a new episode. As always, change your mindset to change your life.